Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much for our beautiful devotional. Thank you, Suzette. You know, good morning, heart and soul. Good morning. Yes, good morning and happy Pride. Yeah, good thing. It takes a village. That came to my mind as I was acknowledging Scott for leading our devotional, and we had Thomas Hughes was on piano just underneath the prayer, and yes, Suzette Celeste Johnson was doing our announcements and our opening for that. And I just want to remind you that my sense is that sometimes when things look easy, there's some stuff we do really well. And in doing it well, it looks easy. And so we aren't aware of all that it takes, all the folks required. Today we have a beautiful service designed for you with an inspirational message from Reverend Jack Elliott and music from a beautiful voice and vocalist, Valerie Trout. I want to remind you, and if you weren't with us last week, I'm going to ask you to go into YouTube or Facebook and find it. Last week we had Eddie Watkins Jr. with us. He was our, He was our musical inspiration last week. And then in the afternoon, we had the concert and party. Can I just say that? I'm going to need somebody to take responsibility for investigating to see whether we wore the carpet out in the back. Because I want to make sure that for the next time we're ready. We can't just have the carpet worn out the one time and then we just keep partying on it. This is my way of trying to describe as best I can that there was a party here last Sunday afternoon. And in order to do that, I want to pause and just give gratitude and thanksgiving because it looked easy. Eddie was up playing, doing his part, but he was well supported. Hospitality and facilities and beautification showed up. Social media let y'all know that it was happening. The music collective did the planning and support of it. Administration and bookkeeping had a role. Love streaming was making sure that the folks who tuned in on Zoom could see it, and sound, our audio crew, was making certain with that. And then the welcome circle was greeting everyone and making certain that we were set in here. I just want to give thanks, and I'm going to ask you to support me with your applause and however else to give thanks for that. To give thanks for that. Yes, Lord. I'm telling you, on this, thank you, all of you who had a part in that. We had one good time, and I personally am grateful. I got all my steps in by partying here. Sure enough, it's the truth. Y'all ought to do that sometimes. So look, we continue to be on an adventure in faith, where we have declared this year that we are ready to, willing to, intending to manifest more in 24. And why is that? It's because we know this stuff works, and we're willing to work it. So IJ, Imagining Justice, which is our academic year Wednesday experience, so every Wednesday evening during the academic year, so that's September through May, we have Imagining Justice, and they have an amazing program that happens every Wednesday evening. During the summer, though, we have an adult summer school where it's the equivalent of an intensive. So this year, it's a 5-week, remember, every Wednesday, and we are celebrating that this is our 15th summer school, our 15th consecutive. So it's an intensive that will happen on every Wednesday evening for 5 Wednesdays. So it's beginning July 17th through August 14th. Now, we never tell you the book in advance, and this year is no exception. What we're going to do, though, is invite you to get the booklet, It Works, because that's foundational to the game we're playing in this intensive. So there will also be a book that will support our process and progress during summer school. You, though, we're inviting you to do your little prep work, your little background, lay the foundation for it. You understand what I mean by that? Yes. By getting the booklet, It Works. Now, one of the things I do when there's something that I really want to take into my consciousness, I sleep with it under my pillow. Now, you're also going to have to read it. That doesn't, I want to leave you with the wrong impression. You read it and you put it under your pillow. And then you get it out and you read it, and then you put it back at night. You sleep with it right under your pillow, so you're continuing. It's a signal to your subconscious to continue the work. I hope that makes sense. So anyhow, we're saving the date for our summer intensive. $4. Oh, $4 on Amazon. Thank you. It's like we charging, and we only charging $4. You know, it's the ministerial team that puts, in fact, Reverend Jack and Reverend Angelo, I'm going to ask you to come up here and join me, because the next thing, there are a couple of other things I want to tell you about in addition to summer school. And the first thing that I want to share with you is that during our Centers for Spiritual Living annual convention in North Carolina, in one of the Carolinas, I forget, South Carolina, in South Carolina, thank you. I am such a California girl, just forgive me. Forgive me. The minister of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, and the minister at East Bay Church of Religious Science, Reverend Derica Blackman, and I got together, like we've been saying we were going to do. And one of the outcomes, there were several things that were up on our agenda, lots of collaboration, but the very first thing that we committed to is a reunion outing for Oakland Center for, because we have shared roots here in Oakland. So these are the Centers for Spiritual Living that are in Oakland. And so what we're doing is, and this is a save the date, we're having a family reunion. We're calling it the ultimate family reunion for all of the Centers for Spiritual Living in Oakland. We're asking you to save the date, which is Saturday, August 17th. We'll be at Martin Luther King Regional Shoreline Park from 12 noon to 5 p.m. And registration will open mid-June, so in a couple of weeks, be on the lookout for that. We'll be sharing more information with you around that. Are y'all excited about that? I am. Yeah, it's going to be one good time for us to be together and celebrate. And while we're thinking about this reunion, which gives us an opportunity to reminisce and to reconnect, I have Brannis McKenzie, would you join me? Brannis McKenzie is our Minister of Music Emerita. Thank you, darling. She is our founding music minister.
Yep.
Yes. I remember, I was just looking at you because I remember asking you if you would do that when we first realized that it was going to be a center and so forth, and you said,
no.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And then, of course, she did, and did so magnificently. So, Brannis, come over here so we can be with our friends here. And so today, a thing that happened is Brannis and I share family.
Right.
We share family, and that's how we met, in fact. And so our brother shared with me an experience that happened last fall at Brown University, her alma mater, their alma mater. And I immediately thought, so I acknowledged her. Once he told me about it, I acknowledged her. And it occurred to me that I found out kind of happenstance, and probably it's quite likely that none of you have any idea what I'm talking about. Does anybody know? I didn't think so. So I thought y'all need to know this too. So I wanted to create this opportunity where we could say, Jack representing our board, Reverend Angelo here as a minister, and I just say thank you, Brannis. Thank you for your amazing contribution at Brown University, at Oakland School for the Arts, and at Heart and Soul Center of Light. Brannis, as you have experienced, is brilliant working with adult. Well, she's brilliant as a soloist, and then in teaching and leading adults in song. However, there's a place in her heart that just cracks open with youth. That's the place that really resonates. So her work at Oakland School for the Arts was brilliant and needed and transformative for many. There are many who are still singing your praises. Yesterday, Reverend Sonia, thank you, Reverend Sonia, for this work. Yesterday, Reverend Sonia and her team for Youth and Family Village put together a showcase for Miss B's music for our young people. So we, again, collaborating with Oakland Center and East Bay and Heart and Soul, were to bring folks together. Now, y'all are getting carried away up there doing whatever it is you want to do. So what I want to say is how grateful we are for the work, and we're going to share with them your work at Brown, in addition to the academics and such. But there was something else, and we want to share that with them, but also your work at OSA, which also benefited and blessed Heart and Soul continuously, and certainly your work with and at Heart and Soul that includes the youth and continues to as recent as yesterday. Thank you so much, Brannis. And now there's a video presentation that I want to share with you and the congregation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Reverend Angelo and Reverend Jack, on behalf of us all, thank you. I want you to know we love you, we see you, and we thank God for you. Thank you. Thank you. And now the video.
Greetings to my brothers and sisters at Heart and Soul. There may be a handful of people there who remember me from my time at Oakland School for the Arts nearly 20 years ago. And one of my most impactful experiences in Oakland was becoming involved with the teachings of religious science through my dear sister, Reverend Andriette Earle. And I am very grateful that she has given me the opportunity to make these remarks. I'm here today to testify about a blessing that came my way some 54 years ago when I enrolled at Brown University. And it does seem like yesterday. It was there that I met Brannis McKenzie. Brannis organized a small choir to sing for the Afro Caucus, our black church services on campus. The group had been singing for the church services for a few months before Brannis decided to recruit more students and create a concert choir, the Black Chorus. This is where I came in. I played gospel piano, and the magic began instantaneously. Within months, the choir grew and quickly became a mainstay of the campus community, performing 2 major concerts every year and touring during the spring breaks. The Black Chorus recorded its first album in November 1973 under Brannis Williams Mackenzie's direction. After completing her graduate studies at New York University, Brannis began her professional career as a stage performer, recording artist, educator, and choir director. This is when I relocated to New York, and Brannis and I worked together on many occasions. However, Brannis quickly made a name for herself, and within no time, she was singing around the world with such legends as Arabella Ponte, Miriam Makeba, Gregory Hines, Roberta Flack, Diane Reeves, Hugh Masekela. And if you've never heard his cover of If You Don't Know Me By Now, you really should check it out. Every 4 to 5 years, Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, invites all of its Black alumni back to a weekend reunion. Both Brannis and I regularly attend, and we participate with the reunion choir. But this year was particularly special. This past October, Brown welcomed over 1,000 Black alumni for a weekend filled with all of the things loving families do, including acknowledging our blessings, one of which was to lay claim to and to celebrate 54 years of gospel music on the Brown University campus, and to honor Brannis. So I've done at least 2 good things in my life. Anyway, today, this is about Brannis, and I am happy to join Heart and Soul family in congratulating Brannis Mackenzie on this prestigious honor. We are all very, very proud of you. Love you, Brannis.
Brannis, we love you. We are so very, very grateful for who you are, how you are, and the way that you've blessed the planet. And so, Valerie, let me just say that that was put together by Reverend Angelo Allen, with the support and assistance of our brother Lonnie Berry in Bangkok, Thailand. So very grateful. And Valerie Trout is now going to sing a song that we're dedicating to you, Brannis, a song of gratitude. She's accompanied by Thomas and Sonia.
Beautiful. Anyone who knows me knows that I want to grow up and be like Brannis. Her teaching style, she's an amazing composer. And as a Black woman, as a musician, as a composer, you know, it's wonderful to have met you and be in your funny presence. And just also to learn from you. You know, it's just been really amazing growing, you know, and watching you. It's just the composition alone. If you haven't checked out Brannis's music, you know, outside of the church and everything too, just please do that. You will be blessed. A song of gratitude to heal the world, make it a better place. A song of love and joy to heal the human race, make it a better place, to do what's right and good, make it a better place for you, for me, for us, for you, for me, for trust, for him, for her, and them. Gratitude comes from within. Open up your heart. Be grateful for what you have. Open up your heart. Be grateful for love. Be glad. A song of gratitude to heal the world, make it a better place. A song of love and joy to heal the world, make it a better place. To heal the human race, make it a better place. To do what's right and good, make it a better place for you, for me, for us, for you, for me, for trust, for him, for her, and them. Gratitude comes from within. Open up your heart. Be grateful for what
So it goes without saying when I say, I know you know that we're standing on the shoulders of many. You know, I stand here before you known as the Reverend Jack Elliott, a proud, gay, 70-year-old elder. And I have been blessed and lived a life of ingratitude because I have never had to deal with the bullying and the shame that many of my peers have met. And one of the things that got me through, even when I didn't know it, was the understanding that this stuff works. So I want to give you some examples today how in this movement, I have lived a life where I've been given countless examples time over time that this stuff works. Even in a time that we went through in these past 50 years of this movement. And I want to take you back to a little bit further in time to know and to acknowledge that Heart and Soul Center of Light is a safe sanctuary for all. Yes. In my lifetime, I was told I could not be a minister unless I renounced the fact that I was a gay male. And something inside of me said what was on that little pin that we used to sell at the gift shop, tain't so. I'll find a place, if not here, somewhere. You know, because I don't know whether I'm reincarnated from a past life and there's some mission that I'm coming to this lifetime to work on, or whether it was just a natural knowing, being raised by a liberal and progressive mother that gave her best to meet the challenges in her life, even when she didn't have the vocabulary to fully accommodate me for my life. But she did her best. Part of what she did that was her best was to enroll me at 7 years old in a tap dance class. Now, I could show you some steps, but I won't. But it was the Mark Ross School of Dance. And in my little hometown of Winchester, Indiana, Mark Ross was a celebrity. He danced on the Perry Como show. He danced on the Gary Moore show and the Andy Williams show. And whenever those shows were on hiatus, he came back to Winchester and taught dancing lessons. And so every mother in town, I don't think a lot of fathers co-sign this. I'm just saying. But all the mothers in town, they wanted their kid in that class. And my mother got flack from people at work. How dare you sign him up to be taught by that homosexual? Don't you know he's going to molest him? And she came home and she said, one of the things that I want you to know, that it's always safe to tell me the truth. But I want you to know people are hating him because they don't understand him. And I want us to live a better life. So if you want to take those dancing lessons, go take those dancing lessons. And if ever there's anything that makes you feel uncomfortable at any time, just let me know and we'll stop. So I danced for 3 years. What did it give me? Stage presence. It gave me the courage to walk out on the stage, preparing myself for a life that I didn't even know what was going to unfold. But I was out there doing it because this stuff works. It was the positive affirmation of go out there and do what it is that you're called to do. Fast forward, I'm 24 years old. It's New Year's Eve of 1976. Elton John is playing Philadelphia Freedom in the disco in Indianapolis, Indiana. On the first floor, it was called The Hunt. The second floor of the disco was called The Catch. There was a spiral staircase that took you from the first floor to the second floor. I was on the second floor, dancing away, and again, it was New Year's Eve, and it was getting to be that 10, 9, 8, and I was single. And I thought, I don't want to be any place at midnight where somebody can see that I'm single. So I figured out the best place for me to be was on that staircase going from one floor to the other. So I'm making my way down, 9, 8, 7. Suddenly I hit the floor at about 5, and I thought, oh dear. And I saw a fellow student from Indiana State University by the name of John Belkis, and he goes, Jack. And I'm going, John, midnight, and he kissed me. And I thought, look at God being God, as Brannis would say. So we started a 6-month relationship, and he was coming to be about June of 1977, and he said, you know, I'm going back to San Francisco State University to complete my master's. I think it would be great if you came with me. And I'm going, leave Indiana? Okay, how could I do that? It's so wonderful here. It's so open and affirming. Not. But I was still prudent, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go first. I tell you what, I'll drive you out, get you enrolled. If I feel comfortable there, I'll come back, sell my stuff, come. So in May of 1977, I drove him to San Francisco. We got here, and for those of you who know, will know, we lodged at the Beck's Motor Lodge on Market Street in San Francisco. It was kind of the hotel, shall I say, you leave your door open if you're feeling particularly lonely. Now, I didn't know that, because I'm the innocent kid from Indiana thinking that I'm going to find a little house with a white picket fence with this man by the name of John Belkis. But we did the city for a whole week. We went to North Beach, we went to Golden Gate Park, we did it all. And I thought, something's telling me I belong here. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go back, sell my stuff. So I got back to, drove back to Indiana, got back there. John calls, I found a great apartment. All they need is first and last month's rent, and you know, I haven't gotten my student money yet for this semester, so could you go ahead and send me the checks and I'll get the apartment. And so I sent him the money for the first and last month's rent for the apartment. Some of you are already seeing where this is going. I was affirming prosperity. I give my notice at work, and on the day that I am to leave, I get a phone call in my office at the lunch break. And it's John. He's calling, how you doing? All packed, all ready to go? I go, yep, I cannot wait to be there in 4 days. Oh, good. I have a question for you. What's that? Now, you're not coming here for me, are you? Sometimes it takes a jerk to propel us forward to the life we are called to lead. And I said, no, I'm coming for me. I hung up the phone, I walked out of my office, got in the car, and started driving. And I said, God, what am I to do? And I heard this voice say, go halfway. If you can make it to Denver, you'll know. Denver's halfway. When you get to Denver, if you want to turn around and come back, you can. But you'll know. So I did not stop until I got to Denver. And then I came forward. I came forward because there was something in me that told me I have to go. Now, the good news is, and this is indeed the good news, I never saw John again. Because this other part of me might have had something to say. But I decided to adopt an attitude of gratitude, even though when I didn't even know to name the thing. But I kept saying, okay, God, if I'm really supposed to be here, you've got to let me know quickly. So I'm leaving Denver, getting ready to leave, and I thought, oh, where am I going to stay? I have no place to stay. Well, even before I knew, there was this thing called the Pacific Bell Yellow Pages for the San Francisco Bay Area. I had no idea how significant the Pacific Bell Yellow Pages would come to be in my life, but in that lobby of that motel in Denver, there was a San Francisco phone book. And I thought, now, I think the exit off of the freeway was 5th Street. Let me find something by 5th Street. The Seneca Hotel on 6th Street. I thought, well, now that's only a block away. That's fine. So I called and I said, I want to make a reservation for 2 nights from now. A reservation? Oh, sure. We'll hold a room for you. Okay, thank you very much. I'll be there in 2 days. Click. Again, for those of you who know, between Market Street and Mission Street on 6th Street in downtown San Francisco is the Seneca Hotel. So I pull up in my 1974 Monte Carlo, filled to the brim, and I know it's about 11 o'clock at night. And I'm going, okay, God, what will I do? So I parked the car, locked it, went in, and said, do you have a room? And he goes, do you want a room with a bath or not? What? What hotel room would not have its own bathroom? I learned a new thing that night. That was optional at the Seneca Hotel. Some folks chose to go down the hallway. So I took the room because I thought, I got to get grounded. I got to know what's going on. And I went outside and I'm going, but what am I going to do with my car? And I looked up and saw the light for the Hilton Hotel. And I thought, they have a parking garage. So I drove my car to the Hilton, parked in the Hilton, and came back and stayed at the Seneca. I have been a loyal purveyor of Hilton for the rest of my life. The next morning was a Sunday. And there was a lot of noise out on the street. And I thought, what could this noise possibly be? So I went out, got dressed, walked up to Market Street, and it was Gay Pride Parade for 1977. And as I made my way to the Civic Plaza Auditorium, there was this new artist that they were showcasing. I think his name was Prince. And I thought, you know, I'm going to be okay. I had never seen so many gay people in my life in one place as I did that day. So I'm affirming now. I am clear that God is working in my favor and that this stuff works. So on Monday, I go walking into the Bradley Employment Agency on Market Street and apply for a job. I am hired the next day to be the personnel assistant for California First Bank, which is owned by the Bank of Tokyo, that launched my human resource career. I've never had a day in my life that I've not worked if I wanted to. I was just blessed. And it started that career on the way. And I never even thought about anything else than I'm supposed to be here. Now, one of the things that I'm realizing, and I beg your indulgence as I reminisce, but one of the things that I am aware of is I've written the first 70 chapters of my life. And I'm aware that I might only have 10 or 15 more chapters to write. But I'm going to live those 10 or 15 chapters with the same intention that I've lived the first 70. Suddenly, in the late 80s and the early 90s, I started to get the idea that I was called to ministry. And I'm going to ask Sonia to put up a slide now. In June of 1992, I had just lost my best friend through this pandemic known as AIDS. And I was invited to go to Washington, D.C. to be a part of the AIDS Project's quilt on the ellipse at the Washington Monument. Once I was there, I was invited to read names on the ellipse. And one of the things that we could do is we could insert the name of someone that we were close to or had lost ourselves as we read the other names. But I want the slide of the quilt to come up. And I want you to take that in for a moment because that was sacred ground. As I walked through that quilt, I saw John Belkis's name. I saw Randy Hastings' name and Mike Byers' name and my beloved friend Glenn Jordan's name. And I was marveled at how the universe, out of the thousands of names, quilts that are there, that I walked just the right way, saw the right thing. Why? Because this stuff works. This stuff works. Now, I have always thought, how can I find a ministry that combines science, theology, and psychology? And I had met Terry Cole Whitaker. I had been involved in her classes, and I knew that when I was called to ministry, nothing was going to stop me from being a minister so that I could be in service to those who needed my support. And so after Gary's death and after that trip to the AIDS quilt, I started a program known as the Wellness Program Work Center. And I got to work with people that had been told by the doctor they could no longer do their career's work because of their HIV or AIDS diagnosis. In fact, they were encouraged, well, your life is done, just give up. You might as well not do anything, but enjoy the rest of the time that you have. I thought, there's got to be another way. So I started a program at the VA Medical Center in Palo Alto with the support of a great doctor by the name of Elaine Date at the Rehabilitation Medicine Service, where I said, give me 50 veterans that are in your program. At that time, if you can imagine, the consciousness of the VA Medical Center was we're not going to give a patient more than a week's worth of medication because they're going to die anyway. So any veteran that had AIDS had to come in weekly to get their medication for what they were taking. And so I said, I want half of them. Give me a test thing. 2 years later, guess which half was still alive? So we took that program out into the world, into the secular world in Contra Costa County, and I started the Wellness Program Work Center. And that got us through with working people that was referred to us by the county of Contra Costa to do the same thing. People found their passion. Painters began to paint. Writers began to write. People started doing what they were called to do in their soul and heart all their life, but were trying to get the better job and to play it by another way. The good news is it took people to a period of time where the medication started to work. And no longer was HIV or AIDS a death notice. So we've done some work. When I look back on those first 70 chapters, it's like, okay, we've done some stuff. What have I learned for all this that I need to know now? Well, there's this thing that I am aware of, and it certainly came to light during the pandemic. What happened to many of my brothers and sisters during the AIDS pandemic started to happen to people in the LGBT plus community during that COVID pandemic. People started to feel isolated again. People started to feel marginalized. The young millennials, the Generation Zs in the LGBTQ plus community didn't necessarily want to hear anything from the elders in the community because, well, after all, they didn't go through that. So those elders were starting to ask me the question, why did I even survive? I can't take another pandemic. And I thought, oh, that's right, this stuff works. I have to remind people of this magnificent spiritual connection, this philosophy, this faith, this way of living that we call the science of mind, to propel them to write the most dynamic chapters of their life, the ones still unlived. They still have an opportunity. We are now, as a community, and I love that the Reverend Dr. Andriette Earl started the conversation today with this notion of this village, because for the last 15 years, this village has sustained me. This village has fed me. The gift of a village is what allows us to thrive, to be empowered, to live, to be the allies, to be the advocates, to be the co-conspirators for one another, as many of us known as elders face those last 10, 15, 20 chapters. Because here's what I know to be true. As independent as I have been for the first 70 years, I now need people. And I'm working to be okay with that. It is in my nature to be the caregiver. I don't know how to receive very well. And so I need some of you all, especially if you're under 60, to stand up and say, we're here to do this thing. Because this is the time in life when the surprises come. When the driver's license disappears, when the mobility changes, when the vision changes, when the health changes, despite how we've affirmed perfect health, some stuff still happens because we are humans practicing a spiritual principle. And so we have to count on one another. Now there's this other thing. So this little lapel pin, I want to kind of give you an example of how I perceive this stuff works. If you're wearing it today while you're in the room, being a proud ally, thank you. Thank you. If you leave it on your lapel when you go to brunch today, you're an advocate. When someone comes up to you and says, oh, I had no idea that you were a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and you proudly say, well, I'm not, but I support my minister, I support my son, I support my daughter, I support my friend, I'm an ally. You have no shame for wearing that out in public to Denny's later. And I know that some of us, as soon as we get in the car, are going to find the easiest way to kind of like remove this. And I'm going to put this in my Bible to remember this day. That's not what you're called to do. You're called to show up, step out, and be an advocate. Now, you may be called to be a co-conspirator. Because one of the things that I want you to understand, if you pay any attention to the news right now, there is a movement afoot. We're going to undo gay marriage. We're going to undo some of these laws. We're going to go back to a time when white men ruled the world in 1955, and that's the way that it's, and I'm going, not on my watch. Not on my watch. If I have to protest one more time, like I did for ACT UP, I will. I will. Because I already know how to do it. And I want us to understand we may be called to do that. If you're an ally, you'll vote. If you're an advocate, you'll tell someone how you voted. If you are a co-conspirator, you will drive somebody to the poll to vote. I just want you to understand that continuum of how that works. Each level is a sacred place. Do what you do at each level, and do it as we're called to do this month. Do it boldly. Do it boldly. If you still have some little stuff going on in there, maybe you're a parent. And I know I'm not speaking to anybody in the room. This is for the broadcast audience. Okay, just so you're clear. I want to be able to get off the podium. If you're still carrying some stuff that your son or daughter said to you that they were a part of this community, and you're sitting in your misery that you're not going to have grandchildren, do the work and get over that. You know, if you think that you're going to have to speak up on behalf of your child for somebody in your family, do the work to have the courage to do that. Be proud. Be proud. This whole idea of pride is to be the healing balm for shame. Pride is the healing balm for shame. Now, we all have shame to work through. And we've got to do the work. You know, it wasn't long ago, and I know that you know when I say this, from 1830 to 2003, in the United Kingdom, over 100,000 men were lynched for being gay. Now, if you do the path, That was in your grandparents' generation or your great-grandparents' generation. And that was the way it was during most history. So this emancipation that we're feeling right now, this new way of living, this new inclusion, this new understanding, y'all know is a new thing. And there's a lot of people scared about this new thing. And they want to go back to a time when it's more comfortable, when they didn't have to think about such things. But we are called to be the demonstration that this stuff works. Yes. We are called. We are called to be the demonstration of what it is to be emancipated. We are called to be the demonstration of what it is to be the best ally, the best advocate, the best co-conspirator. Do you know what it really gets down to? We are called to be the demonstration that one can live their most authentic life, and that is what God intended them to do. That's what we're called to do, and that's what pride means. And when you combine pride with this faith, this philosophy that has gotten us through, come on now, share it. It can't be the best kept secret in town. It can't just be for you to go home and do it with your own spiritual practice, as much as that is important. You're called into something more. We are affirming more in 2024, and more means standing up, stepping out, and answering the call that's being impressed upon your heart and soul. Now, here's what, as our musicians get into place. That was a little hint, just in case, a little stage practice thing, so that they know that I'm about to go here. But as they're moving into place, here's the audacity of the work that we're called to do, and has always been the work of this movement called Science of Mind. We have been called to be the demonstration that peace is possible. Many of our centers end each service with "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me," because we know it's an inside job and it starts with us. But more important, if we are truly affirming the possibility of a world that works for all, it must be a world where peace is the only vibration that exists, that moves the love and the empowerment. So I give you Valerie. Yes.
it be to judge each other on loose emotions when blood is thicker than the water we've been treading all this time? What good would it be to judge each other on loose emotions? If love is what you want, then give in to it. Climb the high